Welcome back to the Lighter Side Show. My name is Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium, and I am your host today. We are live today in a shop on Paris-on-Ponce here in Atlanta, Georgia, called the Modern Mystic, and I am sitting with the shop owner and wonderful tarot reader, Miss Kelley Knight. Knight, as she just explained to me. Don't you
know it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I loved it. Are you kidding? I had to throw that in there.
Sounds good.
All right, so before we dive into some goodies,
yes,
which I have held my tongue since meeting you because I really want to get to know your story.
Okay.
I secretly hear it's quite fantastic, and we're definitely going to talk about making mysticism modern, right?
Yes.
The name of your shop.
Modern Mystic.
Hey, and if you guys like the sound of that, check out the website, modernmysticshop.com, or you can even check out Kelley at modernmystictarot.com.
Yes. There you go.
See, I got it.
Yes.
Okay, housekeeping notes first. You Lumineers are always asking for classes, workshops, online, in person. Head over to jamiebutlermedium.com and you can find that list. Don't fear. Something is always happening. Always happening, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Colleen is behind set. So is Jessie. And you guys will be listening to the live sounds of Paris-on-Ponce. So just hang with us. We might have some spontaneous music, some carts rolling by. It's a collection of all kinds of artists.
Yeah.
From ironworking, woodworking, acrylic, and your Modern Mystic shop is amazing.
Thank you.
Crystals, tarot cards, books, candles, shelving unit, everything is so unique. Look at this.
Yes. That's by an artist named Mike Drummond, and it's his take on the Ouija board by using the periodic table of elements. And it states, for scientific and supernatural purposes only. So if you have any other purposes for it, this is not the thing for you.
It's not the thing for you? Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Oh my God, I might be leaving with that.
You should.
I like the planchette.
Yes. You can use it as a Ouija board or an art piece.
Hello, who am I going to talk to now? Anyways, we have a lot to talk about today.
Yes.
So, Kelley, I hear you had a really interesting way of coming into what you're doing today.
Yes.
And I would love to know more about that. Our viewers, our Lumineers, have found themselves stuck in spiritual closets, married to wonderful, beautiful people, with family that is gorgeous and loving, but not supportive of natural abilities, not supportive of being intuitive.
Right.
And so we have a lot of questions of how do you come out with this?
Yes.
How do you own it?
Yeah.
Especially in your community. And what you have done, you've owned it as a business as well.
Yeah.
And you're the face of it. It's not like you're hiding behind scenes and going, yeah, crystals are great, but I stay behind the counter. Like, you're working with them and you even do healing.
Yes. And it was very much like that, the whole feeling like you're closeted and you can't be yourself. And actually, as soon as we start talking about it, I get emotional because I was really fearful about what my family would think or what friends would think because I didn't know a lot of people that could talk to angels and it happened to me so suddenly. It was so sudden.
Wait.
Yeah.
Do you mean it happened overnight sudden?
In a sense, there were many years, I found myself in my early 20s sort of stuck and not really, I had a great life on paper, but I wasn't really fulfilled. So then I started seeking and I did a lot of work on myself, a lot of group work, some Gestalt therapy, and they call it awareness training. And during one of these weekend retreats that we did, we had this, we basically meditated all day, and then each person was a recipient of the meditation. And when it was my turn, I had this giant cyst on my wrist that I was going to get removed by a doctor, and I was the recipient of the meditation, and when I was done, the cyst had completely vanished, right? So that was like a very miraculous healing. Then later that day, some other people.
Wow!
Yeah,
and then later that day, it was. And
then
I'm still pausing. My mouth is still open.
It was a miraculous healing. Yeah, it was there. I mean, it was there for almost a year. It was very painful. It was growing in size, and it sounds maybe gross, but I was used to just kind of touching it, noticing that it was there. And after the meditation, I went like this to touch my wrist, and it was completely gone.
Did you feel anything?
Nothing. I didn't notice it until it was done, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this was gone." And that was amazing.
I got some goosebumps.
So I got a healing.
Yeah.
And then when I don't know if you've most people have not probably meditated for an entire day. We took breaks and such, but later that day, this is the weirder part to me. That's why I can kind of brush over the miraculous healing, because it gets even stranger in a way.
What?
I felt like something was going like zoop, zoop, and kind of like opening my head, and then was like zip, 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 like working under a hood of a car. And I was sort of altered, you know, when you've been in meditation that long and guided. And I was like, oh, I'm just having some sort of trippy thing. And then it felt like it closed. And then the next week, almost suddenly, like I was seeing spirits and angels and all of this stuff sort of like, it just opened at once, which was actually quite frightening. It was really scary because you don't know what's going on, and I didn't know if I was having some sort of psychotic break. I mean, to be quite honest with you, because I had not been one of those children. You know, some people they find these gifts really early and then they shut them down. I don't recall that. Not to say it didn't happen. So for me, this was like
brand new.
Yeah, like I can see angels now. Cool.
Before we get back into that,
yeah,
I would love to know more what it felt like. I loved your hand visuals. That it was your head that kind of
it felt like
open?
Almost like, if you can, I've never seen brain surgery, but it felt like these were kind of flapped open.
Like it was in your head.
Yeah, and I could hear it and I could kind of feel it, and I was just so sort of tranced out that I was like, oh, this is an interesting figment of my imagination. And then it literally felt like zoop, zoop. I know I always make the sound effect.
The sound, right? Is that what it sounded like?
And it
in
felt
your head?
like a zip, 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 like a rewiring. Like someone was like rewiring my brain.
Oh my God, Kelley.
Have you heard of such a thing?
I have heard of rewiring and noises
cool.
similar to that.
Oh,
but
neat.
I have
I
never
don't know
heard
anyone.
of like a straight on, like this is when it happened, after this moment. And like I've never heard of someone being able to put it in such a clear series like that.
Yeah.
I've heard of people and clients talking about it here and then kind of feeling weird and then months later and then having an awakening, an aha moment, and then coming into it. Yours was like, oh, we're done with chapter 1. Now we're in chapter 2, Kelley, and here you go. You're going to see angels now.
Yeah, it was surreal. It was surreal.
So when you're seeing spirit and angels, how did you know to call it that?
Well, I didn't, and this is also what made it a little strange for me too at the time. It came through like vocally, right? So like the first time this happened, I was in the shower and I just kept on hearing like speak, 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 speak. And so I started speaking, and it was not the sound of my voice, and it was like something else, which luckily, I will say luckily, at the time I was living with someone who was a vocal channel. So that made it a little bit, I could kind of understand what could be possibly happening.
Yeah, that was incredible. How fortunate.
Yeah, or else I would have been probably, I don't know what I would have done. Like
at the base of the shower, curled up in a cocoon, rocking.
Yeah.
I spent many a nights on the floor rocking.
Right. So I would thought, okay, maybe this is what could be happening. And so for me, when I say see, it was never with my physical eyes. It was more of like, I guess a third eye seeing. It was very like, I could feel energy, and then it was very vocal at first and then writing at first. So it wasn't like I would hear the message, it was like it would come through me. I don't do that anymore, and we can talk more about how that sort of transpired.
Yes, I would like to know why, because I think a lot of Lumineers are like, oh my God, where do I sign up? Which meditation was it? Do they hold them now? Like, how can I?
Right.
Because a lot of us are trying to find our way closer to it, and so to hear someone stepping back from it is surprising.
That was my, I guess my choice, and I'm open to opening it up again, but it was so much and so fast. And what I wound up doing was just praying for guidance, and I was like, I need a teacher, someone. And I went to brunch with my husband, and it was at this place that's closed now called Cafe Jonah. Yeah. And there was a little flyer that said angel circle this Tuesday, and it was like, I'm like, oh, other people do this, cool. And it felt like the answer to my prayer, and so I went. To me this is crazy. So I went with my husband and my friend, and I was so stressed out. It was really hard to get there. I sit down, And this woman, I don't know if you know her name is Joanne Cohen. She was like, I got to start with you. Hi, Joanne. She goes, I have to start with you. And she said, have you ever heard of Archangel Metatron or Archangel Gabriel? And those were the two angels that I had contacted. And I had never even heard of Metatron. When I heard the name, spoke the name actually Metatron, I was like, is this a transformer? This does not sound like, they didn't teach me this one in Catholic school. I'm going, you're like, that doesn't make sense. And she called by name the only two that I had contacted or had contacted me. And it was such a relief and validation. I could cry about it because you do walk around, or I did walk around thinking, I could really be making this up, and this could be something that's not so good. And then I wound up, this is the moving part about the coming out, right? I didn't come out for a long, long time, except to my father. And I could cry about it because he's just so not into this stuff, right? He's a construction worker from New Jersey, raised Catholic. And I went to him because I was still confused, and he said, that's so wonderful. And he said, how can I learn about it? And that day, he, sorry, Dad, it's so great. He downloaded a book, I know, Open to Channel, or is it Opening to Channel or Open to Channel? And it talks about channeling and what that experience is. And he read it cover to cover. And it was my biggest fear of being rejected, completely evaporated. And now he's like, can you talk to my mom for me? I need to tell her something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you can talk to grandma too if you want. But now he's it's that's normal to him. Not to all of my family, but to him. And so that helped.
Oh, can I ask
yes,
what it
please.
Felt like to be on the fine line of wondering if what was happening wasn't what you wanted or was something greater than you could understand? What were some ways that you managed that or kept yourself in check?
Yeah. I still to this day, I just have to feel what feels true to me. And the feeling that I got when I was engaging with these energies were so uplifting, and the messages that I was able to bring forward were so resonant for people that it was almost like I can't care about the other stuff. This is helping people. So even if I am making it up, it's still helping people. You know what I mean? And so that's how I feel with my tarot reading now. Too, it's call me a weirdo, but people leave here uplifted and clear, and that's got to be the most important thing. I
love it. So it is, yes. Yeah. It's resonating with the glass is half full, and giving attention to what resonates with you, and what I hear is helping others, and being that positive influence for others.
And help me. Yeah, and helped me.
The process of it.
Yeah, it was I was feeling so uplifted, and I felt so cared for a time. Then we can go into the weird, how it got a little U-turn where I decided to kind of manage things differently. But yeah, for a while, it felt so uplifting for me too, and I could feel I was healing. And I was growing. So
was your dad the only family member that you went to, or did it kind of just harness there a little bit?
Yeah, it was my dad, and then my stepmom, who is still not completely comfortable, I would say. And then, my sisters who, they're really supportive. I think one of my sisters really probably believes it, and my other one is just go you, not for me maybe, but it's cool.
I'm glad Kelley's in the world because I'm not gonna do it, that kind of a thing. Go.
It's but she's so I've been super, super fortunate to, and my husband thinks it's the greatest thing, we weren't married at the time, but I've been really, really fortunate to not get, if people have weird feelings about it, they keep it to themselves. So I only get the positive reinforcement. I'll say that.
That's great.
Yeah. It's if you don't have anything nice to say.
Okay, so if you have all this positive feedback and it was so good for others, then what made you feel like you had to set some different boundaries with it?
I realized that this stuff is real and it's powerful, and I really was a novice.
Lumineers. Did you just hear her?
It's real, it's powerful, and I was a novice. And so I didn't know what I was doing, and I was super excited, and I feel like I got a little too exploratory without learning proper boundaries, grounding, all of the tools that I now know how to do it safely. And so I'm not sure still to this day. I had some scary experiences. I'm not sure that I actually believe that like outside forces can do anything bad to you. I think that I'm the most powerful thing I've learned, but either my fear created something.
I feel like taking a victory lap
Yeah.
with you. Like we're about to run down like Pond City Mud.
Not like
some ponds and just run up and down like, yes!
It'd be the
most
parade.
powerful thing
is me, but I had to learn that. And I think a lot of times when we have scary experiences, it's sort of like our fears being personified, and I had a few of those. And I encountered some not angelic, they weren't, I call them beings of light, so they could be from wherever. I saw that you had someone on that contacted Ra. I tried to channel Ra because I really resonated with it, but I was not prepared, and I got violently ill for several days. I did, because you're supposed to have like support, and I think, and like grow your channel and grow into this stuff, and I was dabbling, and it just got too much for me. And so I decided that I had a mentor that doesn't do this stuff, but she's a Native American mentor, and she taught me how to like just shut it down, and have a very like to the ends of the universe, like no more, not now. And I did for a while, and then I kind of got depressed because it was so uplifting to have this kind of connection. And so then I started opening it back up slowly, and that's sort of where tarot comes in for me, where it feels like manageable, simple, exciting tool for me to access this stuff without being just like anybody who wants to like make themselves known, come on in. And so that's sort of like my comfort level now. So I shut it all down, and then I do tarot and I do healing work, and I don't offer mediumship services, but you know, sometimes stuff comes in and I'm cool with that.
I bet it. Yes, I'm sure when you bring out your tarot, the entities are like, "Oh, look, she's got the deck out."
Yeah.
We're gonna whisper a little bit. To her.
Sometimes, and so that feels good and safe. And who knows? Maybe I'll channel again. Maybe I won't. But I also learned, because you mentioned the service. Something that really hit me too is like, not all my gifts have to be a service. Some of it's just for me. And so it feels like that might be like tarot feels like a service. Some of my healing work feels like a service. Some of this other stuff is like for me and my personal growth and my deepening. Yeah.
I love that. High five. A lot of people don't see it that way, because what I have found growing up, and I maybe have a decade and a half on you, that our culture says if you have this ability, it's to be provided for other people. Mm-hmm. You can't keep it to yourself, and you can't charge for it. Mm-hmm. It needs to be for free. Mm-hmm. You know, you need to go walk that path. Mm-hmm. And I never felt that way. I never felt like it resonated with me in that way. It was my life. Mm-hmm. It was the way that I worked. Mm-hmm. And how can I have a living or provide a living to myself if I don't exchange? And whether it's monetary or trade or service trade. And that was a hard thing to jump. And I see that you've made that jump as well.
Yes. And I just have to decide, like, what is a service and what's for me, right? And I still was anonymous for a minute when it came to out in the world. So the way that this, like, creating it into a service was on accident. As it happens sometimes when you get closer to being in alignment, you keep on saying yes. So I decided to start an Instagram account to share my tarot journey, because I'm like, all right, I don't know any other tarot readers here. I'm not really comfortable saying Kelley Knight, right? So I created this Instagram handle, modernmystic_tarot. And I started really to use it to like meet other tarot readers, to see what else is out there. And from there, it just started growing so fast. And people were really taken to my content and asking me for readings. And so I kept on saying yes. And locally, people were coming and referring, and that started growing. So it wasn't like a conscious plan. I had a great marketing business. That's what I did. And it turns out I think I was so good at marketing because of that intuition of just knowing, you know, like what would resonate. So it was a very organic and natural sort of, I don't know, transition to doing this full time.
I was going to say, I have to comment that you are so unique with being able to market your spiritual words, tones, talents, services, things of that nature. Because even in my genre, it was, you don't advertise, you don't talk about it. Because if you talk about it and advertise it, you're bragging. And your abilities, you can't have bragging rights on those. Because then it's ugly. And it was immediate, like, you're supposed to provide it but not talk about it.
I see.
And not be big about it. So that was a nice struggle, and God, my heart just goes, what? Like, to take that marketing and then ease it into all of this, it's stunning.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I try to be like generous with it. So it's not like super self-promoting. It's like, hey, here's how I do this thing, or hey, here's this tool. And so it's sort of, I try to use it as an education platform and a community building platform. And so I think it's because I never was trying to strive to like make a ton of money or be the best or whatever, and it was more out of community building. And I think you've done an awesome job of that too.
Community building.
Yeah.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it feels more organic and real than saying like, buy a reading for $99 or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's sort of how I ended up here, is just I kept on saying yes, and it got bigger and bigger until I outgrew my container. And then,
I have a few things, and they might feel like stepping back, but
let's go back.
I hear in your words when you were talking about when you started to set your boundaries, because that it was real and it was big, and you called yourself a novice at the time, but you were having what I call side effects. Like when too much energy is running through our bodies and the pipelines haven't been laid yet, it can create blockages, and it can create fever and vomiting and diarrhea, like heavy physical things, and create fogginess, sleepiness, depression, all kinds of
I had all of it.
You're kidding. I was going to ask, what was it that you're feeling and going through?
Yeah, it was, I would definitely say the depression. I would say like a lot of them, I guess it was cool for like a purging, like a lot of emotional swings. I was getting migraines, especially from the back of my head.
Really?
I was, like I said, I'd have nausea or vomiting if I really tried to do something that was way out of my capacity at the time. And also I had some I just felt like, for a time, the reason why I shut it down is I felt very numb, and I don't know what happened, whether it was, I went to someone, and who knows, but she said that there was some sort of attachment that was sort of siphoning, and then she helped me kind of remove that, and after that I felt my heart open again. But I don't know if I got some gunky stuff, but I wasn't feeling like in my heart, and I don't know what it was. I know what someone else said that it was, and at the time I would have been like, yes, please, help me. But it did help, even if it was like psychosomatic or whatever. Like it helped, and so it was a lot of things. It just was too much, too soon, and I just kept on pushing it without the proper mentorship or education. And that's the thing, like a lot of people pop up and they're like, oh, I can channel now, or I can do this or that. And it's awesome, and slow your roll.
Whoa.
because like I said, it's powerful and it's real. And also you've got to understand like what resonates for you is true, because I don't know, you got to make sure the information you're getting is from who you're getting it from. I also didn't like seeing other people almost use that channeled information instead of their own self. Like that became the loudest voice.
Right, because like you said before, you are the most powerful.
Yeah.
Like prioritizing, we're choosing to be human. That needs to be number one, like
right.
top of the list.
Right.
And no matter what channeled voices of ultimate all that is, or God, or angels, it comes number two. At least for me, that's how I found I have to prioritize. Because as soon as I gave in to what they were doing and saying, it screwed up my humanness.
I agree.
And now I don't even think to ask the dead people when I'm in a conundrum or having a hard time. Like, it doesn't even dawn on me. And my husband's like, Jamie, have you asked them? And I was like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And he's like, God, Jamie. And, he'll just kind of leave the room. And I'm like, but do I want to ask him?
Right.
I kind of like maybe not being able to figure it out or having the struggle. There's something sweet in the struggle and being human.
Right.
Because the answers are there. I've seen them. They're right there and very clear and loving and helping, but not for me.
Right. I feel the same way. And now I don't ask angels for a lot of things. I do use their energy to I use angels mostly in my healing work to help me move energy and shift energy. And also when I set up the store, I kind of put different angels in different corners and stuff like that. But as far as the information, either I've gotten exercise with this enough that it's integrated and it just kind of comes in, and I don't even know where it comes from, but it's just a yes, no.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem as needed. And then also I saw a lot of people that would say, whenever they started a sentence, it would be well, my guide said, and then I'm like, that doesn't give any permission for someone to challenge you, because it's oh, well, I'm not going to tell you your guides are not right? So it's how do you have a human relationship with these people channeling all these things when it's just you and me, really? Yeah.
It is.
So that was a challenge too.
So I have two more things popping up in my head.
Yes.
When you were asking for a mentor and learning more, what did you learn? Did you find that, you mentioned about, being stronger, having more practice, having boundaries with it, prioritizing self, because self is powerful. Were there other things that you came across during the experience where you're well, I need to have that in place?
Oh, that's a great question. This is a weird thing, and it's probably just for me, but in the healing modality that I do, we use a lot of mudras. And the first mudra that you need
Okay, wait.
Oh,
what is a mudra?
A mudra are different ways that you would hold your fingers in different positions that I don't even fully know all of the mudras, because in the book that I have, there's a million. But this mudra, or hand position, is a way to test for permission before working on the person. So if you don't actually, it's sort of like the key. So if you don't get permission, you don't start. And then at the end, there's a mudra that goes like this, that closes it. So I started when I was doing my meditation or even trying to connect, using my own mudras to say open and close. It was something in my cosmology that was comfortable to me and represented in my psyche. We're starting and we're ending. And so we're unlocking the door and then we're locking it back up. And I felt like that really helped me feel safe. And then it's okay, this is the time for me to be open. And then now we're done.
I love that.
So that's just for me. So I don't know if anyone else has, I can't think of many other people that would use that tactic. But that was really helpful. And also I think just what was most helpful for me was through social media mostly, finding other people that are into this stuff. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where you can talk about it.
Yeah, and just adjust and take tips or yeah.
I found it was one of the loneliest journeys. Is I find comfort in religion because there's a process and there's a book we can all read and we can all see the words and we can all believe in the same thing, and it's so beautiful that you're together like that.
Right.
And then when I was writing my book, finding out my spiritual gifts, nobody else had that book. I couldn't pass it to somebody and go, you get it? You with me on this? And it was just and so when I started finding people like you,
right,
who are discovering and doing this, it's just
right.
such excitement. How many times can I have goosebumps during this talk?
That's awesome.
It's crazy. Are we on 5 now? No, okay.
And that's where, for me, I know maybe being in the generation I am, social media is not just online. These people have become in real life friends. These people, their products are lining the walls of my shop. You're able to actually take that digital community and make it real. And so that was super helpful for me. And then one other tip I would say that was really changing for me, which is simple, but keeping, having good energetic hygiene and keeping your field and your aura clean. That's so crucial.
I swear to God, I'm not paying her. She doesn't make anything off the interview, Lumineers. But come on.
Yeah, that was crucial. That really helped my health. It helped my stamina doing readings, to keep my energy, I was getting drained doing those. So I think that's a top priority for me in between every reading, at the end of every night, salt baths, Florida water, everything. I'm like spraying stuff. Helps
This
me.
is so great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
It's such a treasure to hear somebody else's story. You know, it helps lighten the woo-woo
Yeah.
inside of us where we feel like we are so far removed and we're not.
We're not. We're in the middle of Paris on Ponce. This is as woo as it can get, like in our shop, in like the mainstream off the Beltline. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's like that. This is, everyone calls it the new age. I feel it's the now age.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
what
I
we
love
do
it.
now.
It is.
So we do now,
We're the new norm.
right?
We're normal. We're normal.
Normal.
That
Mostly.
leads me to my last thing.
Tell me.
How?
Yeah.
How did you wake up and just go, okay, that's it, I'm crawling into this. I'm going to have a shop. I'm going to now build that community in person. I'm going to, now stand on this and be it.
I wish it sounded that great. So, actually, again, like I've learned a lot about myself through this expansion and then contraction process. So before the shop opened, I was actually very stuck. I don't want to use depressed lightly, but like I was immobile, like I was canceling or rescheduling meetings, and I felt like almost paralyzed. And when I've done enough work on myself to not beat myself up in that space and just be like, okay, we're gonna hang out for a minute. I don't understand it. And then I had a reading with a friend, because sometimes you just can't read. I can't just read for myself. And I was actually, what happened was I was pulling cards for myself all over the floor, and I just heard, call Christian. And so Christian Barry, he's amazing.
Shout out.
Christian Barry. I just heard call Christian. So I set up an appointment with him, and he said something that I couldn't hear for myself, which is, you've outgrown your container. You're stuck. Your energy is stuck, and the container's too small, and that's why you can't move. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. And at that time, it was just a few months ago, I was in a studio space seeing clients, but I really had a vision for a shop. And I thought, okay, this will be like a long-term goal. My husband set me up with this amazing candle ritual I did in the new moon. I've never done actually candle magic before at that point.
Love you, husband.
Thank you. He had these awesome oils. He's into like magic and stuff. And I like poured, it's the only thing I could motivate myself to do, just poured my heart into this moon magic ritual and this road opening ritual. Took like almost 2 hours. And I was just pouring myself into it. And I just to get unstuck. That was my only intention. It's like, help me move. Like, somebody help me move. And then within a few days of that, someone heard me talking about the shop. It was a client. And she said, oh, you need money? How about I help you with that? And I'm like, okay, but I have to find the real estate. And my friend was like, hey, check out Paris on Ponce. I think they've got some new spaces open. The perfect space was open. The money was there. And within like less than weeks, this was all lined up. So that's what's up. So if you're stuck and depressed, maybe you've outgrown your container, right? Maybe your energy is bigger now, and it needs to be let out or released somehow.
Can Lumineers contact you for a little moon ritual?
Yeah, so actually, my husband teaches the class here in the shop, and then we're going to do an online class for it, and we send you the little candles and the oils. So yeah, for sure, modernmysticshop.com.
There you go. I was like, where can we find that class?
Modernmysticshop.com, go to the events page. It was like the most amazing, most powerful thing. And now I swear by it. Now I do make people take the class. This is another one of those things. This is powerful, right? Yes. So I don't just hand people the candles and the oils. Like, you have to take the class, because I feel responsible, right?
Yes.
For the outcome. And I want to make sure you know what you're doing. Because again, this is real.
Kelley is attracted to doing good work.
Good work. Thanks.
Rooted, honest, good work. And it shows.
Thank you. So that's what's up. So you can, if you take the class, I'll tell you how to do it and give you the materials, but I don't just broadcast it, because we want to make sure you're in alignment, and because something will shift. We just want to make sure the right thing shifts.
Oh my God. Lumineers, you have got to get on Kelley Knight's like RSS feed. Just sign up. You said you were on Instagram.
Instagram.
Where?
modernmystic_tarot, and then modernmystic_shop. So the tarot feed is more about my tarot reading, and the shop is all these awesome products and events.
I would love to talk to you more about tarot.
Oh yeah. Maybe we should do that.
We're going to do that.
I think so.
I want to thank you so much for sharing, being here, being open. It's just I'm very grateful.
Oh, thank you. This has been lovely.
And very grateful for you, Lumineers. Thank you so much for being here and lending your ear. And remember, it's not woo-woo, it's true. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Sound.